Hello, Aquarius, and welcome to your 2017 mid-year reading from Planet Waves. My name is Eric Francis Coppolino, here with some information about the total solar eclipse that takes place on August 21st. That's just a little more than 2 weeks from this moment. Kind of amazing that it has snuck up on us so fast. And many associated transits. The interesting thing about this total solar eclipse that takes place in Leo and the previous new moon that took place in Leo, a double new moon, is that they're in your relationship house, the house of partnerships, of open associations, whether friends or enemies. And this is talking about how it is time for you to ease back on or release the tension that seems to exist in your relationships. Eclipses can do that. Eclipses want to blow off the pressure and help us get to the next place, help us kind of have an easier time of things. Of course, as they're approaching, there may be some chaos and some turmoil, and there's kind of a compression effect and acceleration effect and all of that. But in the end, these eclipses, the series of two eclipses preceded by a pretty potent full moon, new moon in your relationship house, are all about easing the tension between you and the people in your life. This includes individuals and groups. There are certain key people who are involved, and in reality, this is about how you treat everyone in your life. It's about your relationship to existence and to your environment as much as it is about any one relationship. So among the things I'm going to do in this reading are talk about the series of eclipses that's passing through your first and seventh houses, Aquarius and Leo, and also the lead-in to these eclipses, what's been going on the past few years, and then what these eclipses are preparing us for. Eclipses are before and after moments, and we're just at the end of in the before moment and about to experience this kind of transition, or you might think of it as a geographic feature in the landscape of time, and what's on the other side, what's out there, and all kinds of interesting changes going on, and they're going to work together, and I think that they're entirely manageable if you get with the program here. So let's look at a diagram of the eclipse itself, using Aries as the beginning point of the chart, because it's just for all the signs. The eclipse is in a grand trine pattern. The eclipse of the sun and the moon takes place here in Leo. Mars is conjunct the eclipse, and then there are important planets trine the eclipse to one side in Sag, and trine the eclipse to the other side in Aries. The trine into Sag includes Saturn, Pholus, a pretty important minor planet called AQUARIUS, which is about family patterns, and the galactic center. Out of Aries, it is the Eris-Uranus conjunction. Look at that. So Uranus faster moving than Eris, and so this is this energy system that is working. It's making kind of a spiral vortex in everyone's chart. Let's look at this eclipse as oriented on the sign Aquarius. It happens in, here's Aquarius, the first house, and it happens in, the eclipse is there. So it's your seventh house on the cusp of the eighth house. Seventh and eighth are very similar houses. They both address relationships, but the seventh is about partnerships, and the eighth is about consummating those partnerships, whether that consummation is through money, sex, or a contract of some kind. So the eighth house formalizes the affairs of the seventh house, right? The seventh is here, and we move the story on into the eighth, and we get we get information about the formalities of the agreements. And what is so interesting is that both houses are very active with these two events in Leo, and just recently, well, actually it's about to happen on Monday, a partial eclipse of the moon in your sign, right in the middle, and there's the south node. And then all of these planets are in the pattern, but they're also on the move. So pretty much most of the important points in the eclipse are moving targets. They're slow movers, but they're at the end of their run through fire signs, in particular Uranus and Saturn, and then all these other points. So what does that tell us? That tells us that this eclipse is here to provide some propulsion into the future. And the propulsion into the future that we're looking for in this case is a kind of a revised view of your relationships, a more open-minded, flexible view of your relationships and the agreements and the contracts in your relationships. Now, Aquarius is a fixed sign. A fixed sign is one that can be somewhat stubbornly set in its patterns, especially Aquarius, because the thing about Aquarius is that it's all about the crystallization of patterns. Aquarius is not given to the inherently freewheeling, liberal-minded thinking that many astrologers think. It is because it tends to cling to patterns, or it's the energetic quality of Aquarius is to get crystallized. And the fact that the south node of the moon is moving through your sign is saying that it's time to assess these crystallized patterns and to let them go. The south node provides a very handy function as a release point. It's like a place where you can drop off your karma, and it's also a place where you can draw on your karma. To me, there seems like a little more dropping off than drawing on, drawing from. And the combination of eclipses in Leo and Aquarius is saying, well, that fixed quality of Aquarius and the fixed quality of Leo, a certain adherence to stability that Aquarius is famous for. I mean, it's supposed to be famous for being eccentric and all that, but there is a really stalwart quality to Aquarius, and you don't take change casually. The thing is that you would benefit from taking change a little more casually, relaxing a little bit more about your reality and the nature of what you expect from people, and even the nature of what they expect from you, and what your expectations about yourself that you bring into relationships. All of this needs to smoke the peace pipe and relax a little bit. And there's a lot of reasons for this. A lot of reasons, meaning ways to describe the patterns in your astrology. But the main one would seem to be that an overemphasis on the thinking and the conduct and the ideas and the commitments of others serves largely to take the emphasis off of your choices, your patterns, your experience of relationships, and your inner relationship. And so, it sometimes comes to the point in your encounters with others that you can spend so much time dwelling on them and their needs, and what you perceive as their needs, their feelings, their ideas, that you lose track of who you are. Still got that speck on there. You lose track of who you are, and you need to keep close track of who you are for a number of reasons. And you've been getting this message from the universe for quite a while, that you need to pull into yourself and really become masterful at understanding your own inner material and your own shadow material, again, focused on this perception that I have that says that it is an important time to place the emphasis on yourself and not so much on others, and to not project so much onto others, but to call back in your projections. So one thing that's been going on for quite a while is that Pluto has been moving through your 12th house. The 12th house is the house or sign, using this whole sign system that we're using for this thing called a solar chart, is the sign before yours is also referred to as the 12th house. And you have Capricorn there, another Saturn-ruled sign. Yours is also Saturn-ruled. And Pluto has been in Capricorn now for about 10 years. And Pluto, through the 12th house, is considered one of the hardest transits in astrology because it can be so isolating. It can be so daunting. I mean, the inner territory that Pluto through the 12th house is trying to open up is potentially evocative of all the scariest things in life, all the things that we've denied, all of the swept away, hidden away mishigas of our families, the whole range of subjects that fall subject to denial, of which there are many, and then all of our deepest, most intense wants and desires, which are often considered inappropriate to speak about. And you have had a lot of energy pulling you in there. And what may happen when you get all this super concentrated impulse to draw into your own reality is you may do exactly the opposite thing. There is no doubt that Pluto through Capricorn and the 12th is an especially challenging version of even Pluto in the 12th. And one of the reasons that is there is so much family stuff going on in a Capricorn 12th house. There's so much that you might wonder how it is you could ever deal with it. The important thing is to remember that it doesn't all belong to you, and you don't have to deal with it in the way that you have to deal with, let's say, for example, a personal mess, something that's strictly your own doing, your own invention, your own property. You entered a family pattern when you were born, and you are not the cause of that pattern. I mean, clearly on some level you harmonized with that pattern because you were born into it as part of it, but there is an unconscious quality that joining someone else's family pattern can have, because it's all that you know, but on several different accounts, you are about to wake up about this. Let's check a couple of other signs. The 12th house Pluto thing is somewhat deepened in its influence because of activity in your second house, which is Pisces. So one of the things, notice we're doing, we're reading Aquarius, but we're starting by reading the sign before and the sign after, the 12th place and the second place. So in the 12th place we have Pluto, which is this profoundly, in the 12th, introspective thing that will make you confront all of your fears, whether you want to confront them or not, including the fear of confronting your fears. And the second house addresses matters of self-esteem. And this is a challenging house to have Pisces on, because Pisces is not especially solid of its own, and additionally it is given to kind of existential doubts, and can only be accessed in a fully useful form if there's a certain spiritual approach to it taken. In other words, having Pisces on the second house it is not going to help you feel better about yourself to be wealthy. It's not going to help you feel better about yourself to be drunk a lot of the time or to be on meds a lot of the time. What will help you with your self-respect and your faith in yourself are all the things that are what you might think of as wholesome Pisces. Loving critters is a very, very important factor of Pisces that will help you feel your value in the world. Art and music in any form. You definitely need, the kind of psychological release of fantasy, whether it be movies or plays or novels or something like that. You need to get your mind off of your reality from time to time. And ultimately, there's only an authentic altruism that will satisfy Pisces, because the thing about Pisces is that it knows that the only thing that we can really do here that's of any use is to support the struggling people who are also among us and are on the planet. And this is not an easy time for a lot of people, and certainly there are plenty of people that you can be of assistance to, and I would suggest that the assistance that you offer be directly of yourself. In other words, writing checks is not enough. Actually stepping up to the challenge and making sure that you're supportive of anyone and anything in your reality sphere that you can actually afford to help with. Now, that said, I'm not talking about a self-sacrificing form of helping others, but rather a form of helping others that keeps you grounded in your purpose and keeps you grounded in the purpose of your relationships, which are not always going to have that theme of helping others, because after all, Leo is your relationship house, and Leo very much can go two ways. Leo can go the direction of self-centeredness, or Leo can go in the direction of centeredness, like the sun holding the solar system together. So there can be a very selfish side of Leo and a genuinely altruistic side of Leo, which is that Leo can function to basically exist in service as a mere fact of its existence, as illustrated by the sun holding the entire solar system into in its pattern, and the sun being the Leo planet. Now, you need flexibility for many reasons. And anything you can do to give yourself that flexibility will be helpful. And that can include stretching your body. It can include varying your daily patterns, varying your approach to life and to your work. It can include basic Gestalt tricks like always driving home a different way than you drove somewhere. Anything that shifts an established pattern, you will find to be helpful. And this is particularly important on the promises that you've made to others and the promises that they have made to you. As I mentioned before, the seventh house is the house of openly acknowledged relationships. The eighth house is the house of consummating those relationships, but it's also much more secretive. Right? One of the keynotes of the eighth is its secrecy. Though there are three houses like that, and all of them are involved in this discussion. We'll get to the other two in a second. And the thing that's telling me that, first of all, there is excessive secrecy, but also dwelling on the past, a kind of adhesion to the past, is that Mercury, the planet that rules Virgo and your 8th house, is retrograde in your 8th house. It's having a hard time getting out. But what is going to happen is the first week of September, it is going to retrograde all the way back into Leo, and it will get out. And then where Mercury stations direct is the degree of the eclipse that is about to happen. Okay, so we'll come back to that, but let's look at the other 2 houses that are associated with secrecy. One of them is the 12th, house 12, and as we know, Pluto's been in there for nearly 10 years. What's been going on for you the past, let's say, 3 years and longer is there have been a lot of planets going through your 11th house, including Saturn, your ruling planet. And Saturn has, in some ways, helped you solidify your image as whatever you are. Saturn has helped you establish a relationship with the public. Saturn in Sag has gone a long way to help you find your niche in the world. One of the things about Saturn moving through the 11th is it can be helpful at assisting you in finding that specific thing that you're good at, that you need to be good at it, and to use that to serve others and also make a living. The potential problem with Saturn through Sagittarius is a kind of a philosophical rigidity, almost an elitist quality that you would be very wise and well served to let go of any elitist quality that you have, but that is contingent upon recognizing it for what it is. And so it would help if you got your friends to tell you about, for example, any ways in which they perceive you as being inflexible or being oriented on the past. This Mercury thing in retrograde in Virgo in your 8th is saying that you may be clinging to old agreements or old styles of agreements or old contracts with people because there is something that you are concerned is going to come out if you don't stick to those contracts. You may, in that case, take the opportunity to have whatever that thing is come out. Start with that. Start with the truth about who you are and who you know yourself to be. Now, one of the really important things that changes over the next year, but really this is going to be the first of many changes, or actually second of many changes of sign changes of planets, which tend to reset the whole playing field, is that Saturn is going to go into your 12th house. And Saturn will further encourage you to clean closets. And while you're busy doing that, while you're busy looking at everything you have to look at, particularly about the background of your family and the conduct of your family and the implications of the conduct of your family, and I would suggest going back to maybe your great-grandparents' generation, is... Lost my train of thought there. Saturn is an influence that compels change. And so whatever has been stirred up in the 12th house, whatever has been kind of churned up by Pluto's presence there, whatever has been broken up or cracked open, Saturn is going to insist on a kind of an organized, orderly approach to going through that. Some kind of a therapeutic approach, some kind of a personal research-based approach, but not a casual approach, not a little here, a little there approach. Saturn is going to want a disciplined approach. There are two other important ingresses that point to family material being an essential thing that you need to work with that will help liberate you in your personal relationships. Pholus is also going to enter Capricorn. Pholus is additionally a family pattern indicator, particularly of alcohol, particularly going back several generations. What you want to do is like 3 generations. You want to basically make a family tree all the people in your family going back about 3 or 4 generations and figure out who the drunks are and who the junkies are and various other forms of addiction, most likely to alcohol. Folis really has an emphasis on alcohol as being the addictive substance. What is likely to happen is once you embark on this study, it's going to gain momentum very quickly, and you're going to find out all kinds of stuff that you've been keeping from yourself and that other people have been keeping from you. There's likely to be an acceleration, and then what happens in the course of nearly every investigation is you've assembled enough information to be able to see the truth for what it is, and then the rest begins to assemble very quickly. All right. Another point regarding secrets and flexibility, Uranus entering Taurus. This is a big one. Uranus has been in Aries for 7 years and is now about to enter an angular house, one of the dark line houses. That is the 4th house. And the 4th house is family business, particularly on your father's side of the family, but it can be either side, most likely the side of the family of the non-dominant parent. But check both parents. When Uranus enters your 4th, that is, again, a kind of a shakeup, a thing that's going to shake out secrets and that is going to destabilize you enough so that you're sufficiently not attached to what you have going on, to the patterns of your life, that you can actually have the feeling of affording to be able to make a change of some kind. The last couple of more, I'm adding some transits as I go on here. Let's go up to the top of your chart, the professional angle of your chart. First of all, Jupiter is in Libra and it's about to go into Scorpio. Scorpio is your midheaven angle. This is opportunity. But the thing is, for this opportunity to work, you've got to be able to get along with people. And whenever there's a group of people, the group is likely to constellate, at least initially as in relatively early in the healing process, the group is likely to form a constellation that very much resembles your family constellation. And you need, therefore, to know your family constellation if you are going to be able to succeed. Now, why am I talking groups up here? There's a somewhat obscure but important planet with a glyph that looks like Jupiter, but it's called Apollon, and it's an early Scorpio. And the main quality of Apollon is to draw people together. It's to draw new families together, family of choice, or any group that is a group that is drawn together rather than one that was just inherently born that way. So Apollon is very, 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 very slow moving. It's going to be up in this angle of your chart potentially for the rest of your life. Jupiter moves pretty quickly. It's going to form a conjunction to Apollon, activating Apollon, making it real, saying, okay, now it's time to get together. So while you have these influences saying that it's time to get together, work together, cooperate, and have a kind of a new experience of family, there's an urgent message about getting underneath your current family pattern and prying out all the secrets, in particular the secrets that you did not want to know. I don't know you. I don't know for sure that you have these secrets that you don't want to know, but I do know something about human tendencies, and there seems to be a human tendency of like, don't tell me about that. I don't want to know. It's too much information. Right now, there is not too much information, such a thing as too much information. And the most important thing that you can do is to be open-minded and courageous about making discoveries about yourself, because ultimately any discovery you make doing something of this kind, we're talking about your genetic progenitors, is going to be a discovery about you. one more point. Chiron's about to enter your third house, which is Aries. And having Aries on the third house, I'll show you what that looks like here. Here's Aries. Here's house 3. So house 3 begins here, and it extends there. Having Aries on the third house being about writing, Aries being about finding yourself, is that one of the most important ways you're going to find yourself is going to be through writing. I strongly suggest you get yourself a copy of The Artist's Way, the original version of The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and take the rest of the year. It's a 12-week thing, not requiring that much work. It's a few hours a week and well worth it. It really pays you great dividends starting immediately, and follow some of the ideas in The Artist's Way and do some of the things that it suggests, the most significant of which is morning pages, is daily writing. Chiron going through your third house. Chiron is a planet of healing, and it's about to enter your third house. And Aries is saying that one of the most dependable paths to healing and paths to finding yourself is going to be incessant, deep, honest writing about yourself that's not designed to show other people. It's not designed to be good writing. It's not designed to impress anyone in any way. It is merely designed as a vehicle for you to find yourself. And this takes time. It takes persistence. Chiron's not going to arrive in Aries until the spring, and it's going to be there for about 9 years. So on the one hand, there's no rush, but on the other hand, Jupiter's moving fast. Jupiter is going to be calling you to some unusual level of success. And many factors in your chart are saying that your success is about understanding and working with a kind of a new idea of a family constellation, but that your healing process and what prepares the way to a family constellation is going to be about healing all matters related to family. So on the whole, the emphasis in your life is being taken off of one-on-one romantic partnerships and being put onto more collective partnerships, group constellations, both family and family of choice. This does not take away one-on-one relationships at all, but it's saying that group constellations are a more relevant and significant thing right now for you. All right, that is the basic message that I have. I do recommend checking in with your rising sign, and between the sun sign and the rising sign, I think you'll be able to kind of bounce enough ideas off of one another to get a completely original perspective. Thanks for listening. Good to work with you, and I will catch you on a different day. Bye for now.